evening, everyone, or good morning, wherever you are. My first question, as always, is can you hear me clearly? Let me know, please. I have a new headset, as you can see. So I want to ask you to tell me if you can hear me clearly, please. Most important. Can you all hear me? Let me know in the live chat. Thank you very much. Okay, let me see. Okay. Can you all hear me? I see Justin is here, Walad is here, Dementia is here, John Jai is here, Suzanne is here. Hi, Suzanne. Okay. So let's go right into the topic. Society will always withhold its past from you. Now, I'm going to give a few examples to introduce this topic better to you. Let's say you and your wife, or you and your husband, I'm using the middle example as I often do, you and your wife, you purchase a farm, okay? You go to the notary officer so they can make up the contract. You go to the seller, the real estate office, and you purchase the farm. Now the farm is yours. It's on paper and the cadastre is yours. Now, the first year of farming goes well. Second year too. In the third year of farming, the crops will not grow for some reason. So you have crop failure in the third year. It also happened in the fourth year. After 2 years of crop failure, you now hire some experts to check on your land to figure out what goes on. And now you find out the hard truth. Because the inspectors tell you, listen, you have nuclear waste under your soil. And you ask them, nuclear waste, what are you talking about? And they tell you, in the 1960s, there was a nuclear plant over here. Later, the government abolished it. So they built some houses over here. But nobody wanted to live in a place that used to be a nuclear test site. So they demolished those houses in the 1990s, and now it became farmland. So after you hear this history and the fact there's nuclear waste under the soil of your land, now you want to sue the real estate office that sold the property to you. But now the judge tells you, sir, it's true they tricked you. But at the other hand, the fact that it's your land now means it's your responsibility to deal with the nuclear waste. So now, by law, you're obliged to spend a lot of money to clean up the nuclear waste. Money you don't have. Now, in this scenario, you have been tricked. You have been conned. But hold on. Where did you go wrong in this situation? An example I give unto you. Where did the buyers of the farm went wrong? Let me know the live chat. What do you think? Where did they go wrong? I'll give you a minute to answer. Okay? I'll wait for your answers. Where did the buyers go wrong? They went to look for some farmland. They found a beautiful farmland. They checked the farmland. The soil was good. They purchased the farmland. 4 years later, found out was this nuclear waste all below it. Now they want to sue the real estate office that sold them the land. Now the judge has difficulty admitting they're right. But what did the couple do wrong that got them into that situation? Absolutely. The manager said it, Suzanne said it, and Yami just said it too. They should have prayed about it first and let the Holy Spirit guide them in the matter. If they would have prayed and fussed about it, the Holy Spirit may have told them, no, not this land. Or the Spirit would have shut down the purchase. But apart from the spiritual, if you're about to purchase a property, any lawyer will tell you, go visit the property first. Because let's say someone sells you a house, but the house has leaks in it and mold all over the place. Once you sign the contract and you put on paper, no matter if you pay the money or not, the moment you sign that contract, the house is on your name and it's going to be your liability. That's how it works. So you go and check the house first. If you find mold, you tell them, okay, I'm not going to purchase this house. Either you fix the mold or I don't purchase it. Or it may be that house, because you need to check the history too. When was the house built? If it's an old house, has it been renovated? Because if the house is renovated, the value of the house goes down also in many cases because it's an old building. So you have to check the price of the house. Who is selling it to you? When the house is built, what's the history of the house? If that house used to be inhabited by criminals, then there may be drugs hidden somewhere in there too. So you need to let that check out too. Because let's say there were criminals living in that house, and now the real estate officer sells you the house, and later someone calls the cops saying, "Oh, there's cocaine in that house." You think cocaine? You just purchased this house, but then the cops find, "Oh, there's cocaine buried in the backyard." Now, if the cops are aware there were criminals living there before you, then they can trace back to the criminals. But if the cops can't trace it back down, so now you have something to explain because they found cocaine in your backyard. And you can't explain it now. So what I'm saying here is that before you make a life-altering decision, examine what you're about to receive. A life-altering decision is a decision that will affect the rest of your life and also affect other people permanently. Whether it's purchasing a house or moving away or getting married or divorced, whatever it is. When in a life-altering decision, there's an outcome you're longing for. And because you long for this outcome, you look at an offer to get an outcome. If you want to become a farmer, you look for a plot of land to purchase. If you want to move away from the big city and to be at ease, you may look for a house in the rural area. Or maybe you want to go to the city because you love the city life. So now you look for a house in the city center. In any case, when you long for an outcome, it's natural that you're going to look for offers that can help you get an outcome. What offer you receive, you have to examine it. Okay, let me give another example. Let's say now you're married and you are happy with your husband. You've got 3 children together, but 10 years into the marriage, or let's say 15 years into the marriage, your husband gets weird phone calls. And your husband tells you, "Don't worry about it, those are just pranks being done by youngsters. I'll just call the cops and it will stop." So you think, okay, but the weird phone calls won't stop. So one day, the wife picks up the phone, in this case you. Here's an example now. And she gets a woman at the other side of the line. And she finds out this woman is the ex-wife of her current husband. And she thinks, ex-wife? My husband never married before. I'm his first love. So she didn't want to believe it. She even told the husband about it. The husband told her, "Why did you pick up the phone? This is just pranks by youngsters." But then, one day, the wife went to the municipality to renew her passport. And then there was an error in renewing her passport. And then she asked the clerk, "Why come my passport be renewed?" And the clerk told her, "Ma'am, your husband is listed here as deceased." I think, what? How come my husband is listed as deceased? He's at home now with the children. And the clerk shows her, "Listen, the name of your husband and the social security number belongs to a man who died in early 2000s. Early 2000s? Yes, and he used to be married to this woman over here." And then the wife remembers, "Oh, but that's the name of the woman I had on the phone at one time." And she didn't think, what goes on here? So she confronts the husband, and the husband admits, "Listen, I went into a witness protection program of the FBI because I was helping them with an investigation, and eventually my old ID had to go. So I started a new life with a new ID, with a new name." And then the wife asked him, "Why did you tell me when we first met? Why did you hide this about yourself?" Because now, 15 years later, your past is haunting you, and now we have children, and children are going to be haunted too. And I don't know who you are, because I thought you were from New York, and I was the first one you married, but now it appears you're from San Francisco, and you're much older than you told me. What the heck? In this case, the wife will feel extremely betrayed, extremely upset. Turn the way around. Let's say it's the wife withholding the cost from the husband or a future spouse. Now the husband finds out there was an ex-boyfriend she lived with and he doesn't even know about. So what I'm saying is that when someone close to you or someone that affects you nearby, they don't have to be a relative, they don't have to be a spouse, they don't have to be a best friend, but anyone close to you that's an effect on you. For example, it can be your employer, or it can be the local mayor or local magistrate. Anyone that has an effect on you has the obligation to let you know what you're dealing with, so that you know what to do. What often happens is that some of the people close to us, even public officials, tend to hide their past, tend to hide who and what they really are. And then one day you find out the hard way, and now there you are. What can you do about it? So if someone close to you or someone who has influence over you withholds what and who they are, you'll get upset, rightfully so. But let me tell you one thing, saints. Society always does this. Society will never fully tell you what's going on. That's how society is. Remember, society is not the same as community. Community are a bunch of human beings living together as a unit. That's a community. Society is this fear construct in which adults escape. So society and community are completely different things. Stop confusing society. Stop saying society when you mean community, and stop saying community when you mean society. Society and community are two different things. Never confuse the two. Community is natural. Society is satanic. Let me repeat that. Community is natural. Society is satanic. Simple as that. Why does this society is satanic? Because society is based on exclusion. You can't have a society without excluding people. And here's the thing, because society is a fear construct in which people escape into, the only way society can work, the only way the public get the relief they're looking for is when they feel like winners. And how do you generate a sensation of winning? It's by giving them an example of losers. So society depends on losers. Where are those losers coming from their own community? So society, as a construct, will set up some of its own members to fail in life just so that others can feel like winners. That's how society works. Society is not designed to make everyone happy and everyone healthy. No, society is designed to give relief and ease to the masses at the expense of the minority that's sacrificed. Simple as that. So that means that no society means you well. A community may mean you well, absolutely. But a society can never mean you well, because society is a fear construct. And God has not given us a spirit of fear, but a love, power, and a sound mind. So if God has not given us a spirit of fear, that means that everything that's fear-based is evil. Everything that's fear-based is evil, simple as that. So that means society is evil too. I'm not talking about the people that are part of society. I'm talking about society as a structure itself is evil. So, understand the following. Society will never reveal its past to you. Maybe you move to a new neighborhood in Louisiana. Let's say you moved to the state of Louisiana, to New Orleans. And let's say the neighborhood you moved into, there were a lot of voodoo practices and a lot of domestic violence over there. So the government kicked out many of those people, and now they renovated the houses, and now they sell the houses to middle class folks. Now the middle class folks don't know about the previous history. So when they move into that neighborhood, they encounter the psychic pollution of the past. And now they are affected by the psychic pollution. But here's the issue. They already purchased the house, they already live, they have their lives built up of the past of that environment. If they would have known the type of environment they would go into, they would never move into it. It's the thing. Society is designed to give relief and ease. So society is not built to be honest and true to you. So society not being built to be honest and true to you means society will always trick you. Society is designed to trick you. If society would reveal all the facts to you openly, you would never get along, no want to be part of society. The reason why so many people get along with society so easily because they don't see what's really going on. They're blinded by the smooth success that's shown onto them. It goes like this. Fallen mankind wants to escape. And for their escape to succeed, they need to feel like winners. Because escaping is not anything honorable nor worthwhile. So they have to fake like something honorable. Why? By drawing your focus on losers. That's why you will never find a solution for homelessness. Because if nobody's homeless anymore, what do they have to look down upon? A lot of people feel like winners because they're not homeless. So every time they are fed up with work, or anytime they have an argument with the spots, remember, well, at least I'm in a house, at least I'm not homeless in the streets. Some parents are neglecting their children, but they will tell the children, at least you live in a house, as if that excuses them neglecting their children. Well, that's what I mean. Society needs victims that others can look down upon, feel good about themselves. Without those victims, society cannot function. If society kills off the victims, they have a problem, because now they need new victims. So that's why there's no such thing as a Christian society. Some people say society is becoming narcissistic. Well, society is a narcissist. How can you complain about society becoming narcissistic if society itself is a narcissist? Or haven't you noticed that the moment you say no to society, your life is in danger? I'm not talking about breaking the law or committing crime. Anytime you refuse to give in to the demands of the public, check how they treat you. Check how they treat you. A lot of people don't even dare to defy the expectations of the masses, because they know that the moment they defy those expectations, trouble will come for them. And they are outnumbered by people that are upset with them. So that's why they get along. A lot of people simply will not admit that they're operating based on fear. Let me tell you, those people who are blunt, into your face, direct, so-called honest, is fear. They're dumping all their issues out there on people who can't fight back so that they are at ease. That's it. Do they dare to be blunt and direct towards their employer at work? No, because they can be fired. Do they dare to be blunt and direct towards a police officer, towards a judge? No, because they can be put in jail. Some even dare do it towards their parents who neglected them. So what I'm saying is, people that are part of society, they all operate in fear. That's why believers are told you're in the world, but not of the world. What the Bible calls the world is what the world calls society. It's what the world calls society. Society is what the Bible calls the world. The second term for the world for the world is society. So understand this. Society will never tell you about its past. It's up to you to figure out what goes on. Is that right? No, it's not. Is that fair? No, it's not fair. But it doesn't change it. That's the way it is. So I want to encourage you, saints, do your own research. Examine things. Don't just compare things. Too many of you are comparing things. Operate from likes and dislikes has to do with comparing. Stop. Listen, you can't compare things. There's nothing wrong with comparing things if you're comparing people. Okay? Two people may come from the same neighborhood. One ends up in prison. The other ends up as a lawyer. What's the difference? The other individual got more opportunities than the other, even though they came from the same neighborhoods. It can be that the one in prison was not even a criminal. They were set up. So just because they came from the same environment, but one ended up in prison, the other ended up a lawyer, doesn't mean that one made the right decisions and the other one made wrong decisions. That's not true. So you can't compare what went wrong. So I'm not saying that comparing people or comparing circumstances or comparing situations is a wrong thing to do. But when you compare, there must be a justified reason why you compare. Too often we compare based on emotions, and that's something we need to unlearn. Because we think we're examining something, but we're only comparing. You need to learn to examine what goes on. When you examine what goes on, you see what goes on, what's really up out there. And once you know what's out there, you know what to do about it. Too many believers end up in bad situations because they simply don't examine anything. They compare everything, but don't examine anything. Jesus didn't tell you to compare everything, he told you to examine everything. That's why the New Testament says, prove all things. Or some Bible translations say, test all things. But the King James says, prove all things. You need to prove all things. You need to examine things. And I'm telling you, there are a lot of believers out there who never examine anything. They only compare. I was raised as an Adventist, or I was raised as a Catholic, I was raised as a Baptist. And I keep comparing what others are doing. Quit the comparison and check what it is you're dealing with. If you don't examine things in this lifetime, you will get in trouble. Thank you very much for the super chat, super sticker, Suzanne. Very much appreciated. Thank you very much. So understand this. Society is not designed to be honest and direct towards you. Well, they can be direct towards you, but not direct about the truth. Society will give you facts, but society will give you the truth. Because society doesn't benefit from it. Society is a fear construct. So because it's fear-based, it's rooted in deception. So understand the following. As a believer, the last thing you should do is to agree with society. Okay, if society says that you shouldn't beat your wife, okay, of course you shouldn't beat your wife. If society tells you not to steal, okay, I understand that you agree with not stealing. But if society says that you have a right to will what you will, now you say, oh, hold on a minute. This goes against reality and against Heavenly Father. If society says that people have a right to dislike you and a right to hate on you and a right to think whatever they want of you, then you remind them the Bible says love your neighbor as yourself. So you shouldn't be in agreement with society, because the moment you're in agreement with society, you put yourself at risk. And too many believers have put themselves at risk by agreeing with society. Anytime you agree with society, you're agreeing with Satan, as simple as that. Because society is a satanic structure. So if you agree with a satanic structure, you're agreeing with Satan, as simple as that. And when you agree with Satan, you are operating in danger. You are in danger the moment you agree with Satan. If you believe that people have a right to think and feel about you whatever they want, what if people now one day decide to hate on you and but here's the thing, you agree to yourself that others have a right to think and feel about you however they want. So if others take this virtual right that they don't have and operate against you, you just said that you think people have a right to do that. So now they will use your own agreement against you. Now they don't have the right to do that, but the fact you agree to something illegitimate, that illegitimate agreement will be used against you. That's why you ought to agree with Christ. I say it all the time, agree with Christ. How many believers keep agreeing with Satan? You cannot agree with Satan and have good outcomes in your life. It's not going to work. You cannot agree with Satan and expect healing to work. You cannot serve two masters, as Jesus said. You cannot agree with Satan and expect scented benefits. That will never, ever happen. Simple as that. So that's why, do your own research. With research, I don't mean you have to. I'm not telling you to be into the archives. I'm telling you to read scientific journals, because research is scientific. Research that you check someone's background. If there's a new teacher coming to your child's school, Google the teacher, check about his history, do an energetic inquiry about the teacher. And if you find something suspicious, discuss it with your spouse, or discuss it with your relatives, or discuss it with some of the people who are willing to work on a solution. Please don't keep your mouth shut when you notice something is off. Around you are neglectful and you don't want to hear it. Now that's different. But at least on your part, hint to people something's off. How many times does not happen that a teacher comes and works at the school, and after years later, you hear that he was molesting some of the children, or that he was actually part of a kidnapping cult. It was kidnapping and trafficking children. Such things happen out there, and the issue is how come nobody noticed anything? Well, the truth is something, but out of politeness and respect, they kept their mouth shut, and their politeness and respect cost the lives of those children. So look, I'm not telling you to be paranoid and to see demons behind every. Don't do that. Don't become paranoid and see danger where there's no danger. Please don't. What you should do is to be and alert and sensitive enough that when you pick up a warning signal, you into it figure out what is this. You hint it to other people and to carry life in to figure out what's on. There's no time wasted noticing red flags and doing your investigation about it. As long as you're not obsessed with it, it's fine. Because some people are so obsessed with red flags. I'm not telling you to be obsessed nor paranoid. Just be sensitive and realistic enough that any time you pick up a warning signal, you go into it. Believers are doing this all the time. But too many believers simply don't do this. And when you don't do this, I'm telling you, you are an easy victim if you don't do this. So, do not, and I repeat, do not have this lazy, worldly mentality of thinking, well, everything looks fine, so everything is fine. Oh, it's none of my business what goes on over there. It's your business. Because if what over there goes wrong and it's not dealt with, it's going to spill over to you and to everyone around. Fallen mankind has a tendency to see limits where there are no limits. The earth is one union. Okay? What separates the continents are the oceans. Take away all the water from the ocean, one we have 1% of the Earth's surface water, and because of all the water, North America is not connected to Europe. Well, North Europe are just one soil, but the location is different because you have a big portion of the water. That portion is what we call the Atlantic Ocean. So what I'm saying is that the Earth is one union. So stop yourself as the union called the Earth. Stop thinking, okay, you have, okay, that landmass over there, we call it North America. We give the name. Okay, that's North America. And in North America, you have economic constructs called countries, like Canada, United States divided in sub-constructs. Countries exist. Those are economic constructs. Okay. But stop thinking in terms of countries. Because Canada and the United States are just on one landmass called North America. Those lines don't actually exist. Imagine those lines, and then we build border patrols over there to pretend that it's are real. Canada is an economic country, but that doesn't mean that Canada is not true. We are spirit beings extension. Your physical extension or your extension, but that extension are a multi-dimensional being. So you can't neglect your physical extension. If you neglect your own physical body, you end up dying before time. You end up malfunctioning in your terms. So you ought to be safe, and it's just your extension, but it is part of you. Animals are only physical creatures, not spiritual. Even though they can pick up spiritual sides, but they're not. You are a union creature, a union of spirit and physical matter. That's what you are. You are a union of spirit and physical matter. You are a union creature as human being, and having this union called the earth. So see the earth and stop holding on to the restrictions that society taught you. So you see that the earth is a union, and we union creatures feel better, feel more connected to nature, more connected to other human beings. You become more peaceful and rational, more realistic. The longer you think in all those societal restrictions or what we call boundaries, the more you hold the boundaries, worse off you become because you become more toxic. Boundaries make you toxic. By clinging on restrictions, and you were never designed by God to hold on to restrictions. You're designed by Heavenly Father to operate in abundance. So the moment you cling on to restrictions, which you call boundaries in the world, you become toxic. As simple as that. People think that by having boundaries, you avoid toxicity. Well, it's the opposite. Boundaries make you toxic. You have no boundaries, but with reality, now you can deal with reality. So if you have dangerous people, now you know how to deal with dangerous people. You embrace the reality of the situation. When you hold on to boundaries, you believe that you are capable of securing yourself with your man-made restrictions, and that will never. It does even sound that you, as a vulnerable union creature, think that you can secure yourself without the Heavenly Father by restricting other people. That's what boundaries is all about. Restricting others is all about control. You think you have a right to control others, and first of all, you don't have the ability to control, and you're not entitled to control because you can't do it. So you thinking that you have the right to control others through spells, or I mean through boundaries, those imaginary restrictions. I'm sorry, but that's make you toxic. The guidelines from the Heavenly Father, they bring forth life. So we have guidelines, not boundaries. We have guidelines, not boundaries. Society has boundaries. Society is toxic. We as believers, we have guidelines that guide us to abundance. We have guidelines that guide to abundance, has boundaries because that's how they escape. Is it clear to you now why I'm telling you to unlearn this whole idea of boundaries? Because boundaries will never bring forth abundance. Boundaries are all about restricting and controlling. And those restrictions are not in agreement with Christ, so they are man-made restrictions that become toxic. And toxic restrictions also brings forth violence and misfortune, as simple as that. All right? So, society will never tell you about its past. Just pay attention to your environment and you figure out what happens. I'm not telling you to live in the past, not to dwell on the past, but you have to know the past to process it so that you know what to do in the present. Simple as that. All right? So, how many of you ever been in a situation that you could have avoided by just paying closer attention? How many of you been to something like that? You end up in a situation that's uncomfortable, and then you realize, man, if I just would pay closer attention, I could have avoided. How many of you have been through? Mm-hmm. Hold on. I don't see any answers yet. Maybe this is a bit slow. Now look, if you've been into situations like that and you have the experience of how wrong things can go, if you're not sensitive and alert to your environment, we are union creatures. And as union creatures, we are the most advanced creatures God made. There's no creature more advanced than a human being. So as the most advanced creature in existence, we as union creatures, we ought to be alert and sensitive to our home, the earth, which is the union house we live in. The earth is the union house we live in. The question was, have you ever been to a situation that's uncomfortable that you could have avoided if you would have been more alert? Well, a lot of people already answered it. So you are a union creature, and this union, that's the earth. So you ought to operate as a union creature and be sensitive to the earth and to your environment where you are on the earth. Simple as that. Most human beings are not even sensitive to their own environment. That's why they're such easy prey. That's why bad things can happen to them anytime. So, as saints, we ought to be ahead of all of this. Amen. So let me see. Okay. If you have any questions about this topic, you can ask them now. Class is over. If you have to go, you can go. If you have any questions, please ask them. I'm going to stay here for another minute to see if I get any questions in the live chat. If I don't get any questions, I'll close down the live stream because I have to make some phone calls afterwards. But anyway, if you have any questions, please let me know now. Mm-hmm. God is good. I'll wait for half a minute more to see if I get any questions. Praise the Lord. The sun has set. It's getting darker now. All right. No, I didn't miss any questions. Well, thank you all for being here. Oh, hold on. Oh, the red light. Oh, it's cool. Thanks. Okay. Thanks, Suzanne. Well, thank you all for being here. Keep on with Christ. Be at peace. And I'll see you next live stream. Shalom.